The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness between two star systems. It had been built for meetings like this one, neutral ground where different species could talk without fear of attack. The station's metal corridors echoed with the sounds of many different kinds of aliens walking through them. Ambassador Sarah Chen adjusted her simple black suit as she walked toward the main meeting room. Behind her, two other humans in military uniforms followed quietly. They were her guards, but they looked more like scientists than soldiers. The Galactic Dominion had agreed to this meeting, but Chen knew they were only being polite. The Dominion always started with politeness before they made their demands. The meeting room was huge, with a long table made of some kind of crystal that glowed softly. On the other side sat 7 different aliens. Each one looked completely different from the others. There was a tall crystal being that looked like walking glass. Next to it sat something that looked like a giant lizard wearing fancy robes. Another looked like it was made of pure energy, shifting colors as it moved. The crystal being spoke first. Its voice sounded like wind chimes in a storm. "I am Admiral Keth Zara of the Vorthak Empire. I speak for the Galactic Dominion in military matters." It gestured with one sharp glass-like hand toward Chen. "You represent the species called humans from the planet Earth." Chen nodded and sat down carefully. The chair had been made for human size, which was thoughtful of them. "Yes, I represent Earth and all human colonies." She kept her voice calm and friendly. "We appreciate you meeting with us." Keth Zara made a sound that might have been laughter. It sounded like breaking glass. "Colonies? Our scouts report that your species controls only one star system, Earth and a few small settlements on nearby planets." The other aliens around the table seemed to find this amusing too. "Our information is very good," said the lizard-like alien. "We know exactly how many ships you have. We know exactly how strong your defenses are. We know everything about you." Chen smiled politely. "I'm sure your scouts are very skilled." She pulled out a small data pad and set it on the glowing table. "Shall we discuss why we're here?" Admiral Keth Zara leaned forward. Its crystal body caught the light from the table and threw rainbow patterns on the walls. "The Dominion controls 847 star systems. We have been the rulers of this part of the galaxy for over 3,000 years. When a new species develops space travel, we offer them a choice." "What kind of choice?" Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. "Join the Dominion as a tributary species, follow our laws, give us 40% of everything you produce, accept our governors on your worlds. In return, we protect you from other dangers in space." The crystal alien's voice got harder. "Or refuse and be destroyed." The energy being flickered brighter. "Most species choose to join us. It is much better than the alternative." Chen nodded thoughtfully. "I understand that's quite an offer." She tapped her datapad a few times. "However, Earth's government will need time to consider this carefully. This is a very big decision for us." "Time?" the lizard alien hissed. "How much time do you think you need to make the obvious choice?" 30 standard cycles should be enough," Chen said. 45 of our days." Admiral Keth Zara's crystal body rang like a bell as it moved. "Very well. 30 cycles. But understand this, human. No species has ever refused our offer and survived. We have the largest military force in the galaxy. Your 3 little ships that brought you here would not last 10 seconds against our fleet." Chen looked confused. 3 ships? "Oh, you mean my diplomatic escort?" She laughed softly. "Those aren't warships. They're just here to make sure I get home safely to report back to Earth." "We know exactly what ships your species has," said another alien that looked like a walking tree. 57 vessels total. Most of them are cargo ships or small patrol craft. Your entire military could not fight even one of our battle groups. "Our scouts are very thorough," Keth Zara added. "We have watched your system for many cycles. We know about your orbital platforms around Earth. We know about your small bases on Mars and the outer planets. We know about every single ship you have." Chen nodded again. "Your intelligence network is impressive." She stood up and gathered her datapad. "I should head back to Earth to report to my government. This has been very educational." "Wait," said The energy being. You seem very calm for someone who has just been told their entire species must surrender or die. Chen paused at the door and turned back. Oh, I should probably mention something. The ships that brought me here are just our advanced scouts. Our main fleet is still on its way. They'll be arriving in Sol system in about 2 weeks. The room fell silent. Admiral Keth Zara's crystal body stopped glowing for a moment. Main fleet? What main fleet? Our intelligence shows that your 3 escort ships represent a significant portion of your military. Intelligence can be tricky, Chen said with a small smile. Sometimes what you see isn't everything that's there. Our main battle fleet has been traveling to this region for quite some time. They wanted to make sure I had time to complete these negotiations before they arrived. The lizard alien stood up quickly. How many ships are in this so-called main fleet? Chen shrugged. I honestly don't know the exact number. Military planning isn't really my area. I just handle the talking. She headed toward the door again. But I'm sure we'll all find out soon enough. This is impossible, Keth Zara said, but its voice sounded less certain than before. Our scouts would have detected a large fleet approaching this region. Would they? Chen asked. How good are your scouts at detecting ships that don't want to be detected? She paused at the doorway. Anyway, I need to get back to Earth. My government is waiting for my report. Admiral Keth Zara stood up, its crystal body reflecting the light in sharp, angry patterns. Human, do not think that a few more ships will change anything. The Dominion has crushed thousands of species. We have never lost a war. Never. Chen looked back one more time. I'm sure that's true, Admiral. You have an impressive record. Her smile grew a little wider. I guess we'll see what happens when our main fleet gets here. The meeting room door closed behind her with a soft hiss. The 7 alien representatives sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, the energy being spoke. She seemed very confident for someone representing a primitive species with only 1 star system. Confidence means nothing, Keth Zara said, but its voice carried a note of uncertainty. Our intelligence is perfect. Humans have no hidden fleets, no secret weapons. They are exactly what they appear to be. The lizard alien was already activating a communication device. I will order additional scout ships to search the approaches to their system. If there really is a human fleet coming, we will find it. But even as the orders went out, Admiral Keth Zara stared at the door where the human ambassador had disappeared. Something about her calm confidence bothered the crystal warrior. In 3,000 years of Dominion expansion, no primitive species had ever seemed so relaxed when facing certain destruction. Outside the station, Sarah Chen's 3 small ships powered up their engines and began the journey back to Earth. In the lead ship, Chen sat in the captain's chair and opened a secure communication channel. Mission accomplished, she said into the transmitter. They took the bait perfectly. Admiral Keth Zara is mobilizing the 47th Subjugation Fleet. Standard doctrine, just like we predicted. The voice that answered from Earth was calm and professional. Understood, Ambassador. How long until they arrive in Sol system? Chen checked her calculations. Based on their normal tactics, I'd say 15 to 20 days. They'll want to bring overwhelming force to crush our pathetic defenses quickly. Perfect. That gives us just enough time to finish preparations. There was a pause on the communication channel. How did they react when you mentioned the main fleet? Chen smiled as she remembered the look on Keth Zara's crystal face. Exactly like you said they would. Confusion, then dismissal, then just a hint of worry. They're too proud to believe we could surprise them, but smart enough to send more scouts to check. Let them look, the voice from Earth said. They won't find anything until we want them to. The 3 small human ships jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving Nexus Prime behind. In 30 days, the Galactic Dominion would learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones who look completely harmless. Admiral Keth Zara stood at the observation deck of the space station, watching the human ships disappear into the darkness. Something was wrong. The human ambassador had been too calm, too confident. No species facing the might of the Dominion should be that relaxed. But the Crystal Warriors' pride would not let doubt take hold. The Dominion had never lost a war. Human would be no different from all the others who had fallen before them. The timer started counting down, 30 cycles until humanity gave their answer. Admiral Keth Zara already knew what that answer would be. The galaxy was about to discover just how wrong it could be. The war room on the Dominion flagship Eternal Dominance was filled with holographic displays showing star maps and fleet positions. Admiral Keth Zara stood in the center of it all, its crystal body reflecting the blue light from dozens of tactical screens. Around the room, officers from 6 different species worked at their stations, preparing for what they all believed would be another simple conquest. "Status report," Keth Zara commanded, its voice ringing through the chamber like a struck. Bell. Commander Vex, a reptilian scarn with dark green scales, looked up from his tactical display. "The 47th Subjugation Fleet is fully assembled, Admiral. 200 warships, 50,000 ground troops, and complete support vessels. We have enough firepower to glass an entire planet." "And what do our scouts tell us about the human defenses?" Keth Zara asked. Another officer, this one from the insect-like Chitauri species, clicked its mandibles nervously. "The reports are consistent, Admiral. Sol system appears to have minimal defenses. 3 small patrol fleets, each with maybe 10 to 15 ships, some orbital platforms around their homeworld, a few mining stations in the outer system." Keth Zara moved to the main display, studying the tactical analysis of human space. "What about this main fleet the ambassador mentioned?" Commander Vex hissed softly. "Our long-range sensors have detected nothing, Admiral. No large fleet movements anywhere, within 50 light-years of human space. Either this fleet doesn't exist or—" He paused. "Or what?" Keth Zara demanded. "Or they have stealth technology far beyond what their apparent development level should allow." Vex brought up another display. "But that's impossible. Our analysis shows they only achieved faster-than-light travel 47 years ago. They shouldn't have anything we can't detect." The energy being that served as the fleet's science officer flickered brighter. "Perhaps they are using some kind of psychological warfare, trying to make us hesitant by claiming strength they don't possess." Keth Zara made the crystal equivalent of a nod. "That must be it. Primitive species often resort to deception when they lack real power." The Admiral turned to address the entire room. "We proceed as planned. In 22 standard cycles, we jump to the human system and demand surrender. When they refuse, we destroy their defenses and occupy their worlds." But even as Keth Zara spoke with confidence, something nagged at the Crystal Warrior's mind. The human ambassador had seemed genuinely unconcerned. Too unconcerned. Meanwhile, in the Sol system, a very different kind of preparation was taking place. Deep beneath the surface of Mars, in corridors that had been carved from solid rock decades earlier, Admiral Rebecca Martinez walked through a command center that officially didn't exist. The walls were lined with screens showing defensive positions throughout the solar system. Officers in unmarked uniforms moved quietly between workstations, making final adjustments to plans that had been 50 years in the making. "Status on the Mars defense grid?" Martinez asked her operations officer. Lieutenant Commander Park looked up from her display. "All 57 platforms are online and ready, Admiral. As far as Dominion scouts can tell, they're still just mining operations. The weapon systems remain completely hidden." Martinez nodded and moved to the next station. "Jupiter shipyards? Final ships are rolling out of the construction bays as we speak," reported Commander Singh. "The gas giant's radiation has kept our activities completely hidden. We now have a complete battle fleet hiding in Jupiter's upper atmosphere." Saturn kinetic platforms? All ring-based launchers are armed and targeted. The Dominion will think they're looking at ice and rock until the first salvo hits their ships. Admiral Martinez allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had been preparing for this day since the first alien probe had been detected in their system 80 years ago. The probe had crashed on Europa, and the technology recovered from it had given Earth scientists a roadmap to what was coming. "What's our total strength?" Martinez asked. Her aide, Captain Torres, pulled up the master tactical display. Earth Defense Grid has 43 orbital platforms and 62 ships of various classes. Mars Defense Grid adds 57 heavy weapons platforms, and 38 ships. Jupiter fleet is our main force, 112 vessels including 6 heavy battleships. Saturn provides kinetic weapon support and 47 defense ships, plus the smaller forces scattered throughout the system. And the outer colonies? Still maintaining communication silence as ordered. As far as the Dominion knows, they don't exist. Torres paused. Admiral, are you sure we shouldn't tell them about the colonial fleets? Even Earth's defenses might not be enough if they bring their entire military. Martinez shook her head. The plan only works if they commit everything to Sol system. If they suspect we have forces elsewhere, they'll hold back reserves. We need them to believe that destroying Earth means destroying humanity. On Earth itself, the final preparations were more subtle but just as important. In underground bunkers that had been built to look like subway stations, millions of people were moving to safety. The government had been preparing the population for this day for decades, though most people didn't know the real reason for all the emergency drills. President Chen, Ambassador Sarah's older sister, stood in the primary command bunker beneath Geneva. Through secure video links, she could see similar bunkers in every major city on Earth. Her military advisors surrounded her, watching displays that showed the approaching Dominion fleet. How long until they arrive? President Chen asked. General, Harrison checked his tactical display. 18 days, Madam President. Our deep space sensors detected them jumping to faster-than-light travel this morning. Size of their force? Exactly what we predicted. 200 ships, standard Dominion, subjugation fleet. They're following their normal doctrine perfectly. President Chen turned to her sister's image on the main screen. Ambassador Sarah was still traveling back to Earth but was in constant communication. They believed everything? President Chen asked. Completely, Sarah replied. Admiral Keth Zara is convinced we're a primitive species with delusions of grandeur. They're bringing exactly the force we want them to bring. General Harrison frowned. Are we sure our defenses can handle 200 Dominion warships? Admiral Martinez's voice came through the speakers from Mars Command. We're not trying to handle them, General. We're trying to trap them. There's a difference. The conversation was interrupted by an alert from the Outer System Monitoring Station. Commander Kim's voice crackled over the communications system. All stations, we have multiple contacts at the edge of sensor range. Dominion scout ships, at least a dozen of them. Let them look, Admiral Martinez said calmly. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. The Dominion scouts spread throughout the Sol system over the next several days, mapping human defenses and confirming their intelligence reports. What they found matched their expectations perfectly. A few small fleets, some orbital platforms, mining operations in the outer system. Nothing that would threaten a proper military force. Scout Captain Zeph, a insectoid Chitauri flying the lead reconnaissance vessel, transmitted his report back to Admiral Keth Zara. Confirmed, Admiral. Human defenses are pathetic. 3 patrol, groups with obsolete ships. Orbital defenses around Earth that might have been impressive 50 years ago. Some mining platforms around Mars and the outer planets, but nothing military. No sign of this supposed main fleet? Keith Zara asked. Nothing, Admiral. If they have hidden ships, they're either very far away or very small. Either way, they won't matter when we attack. But Captain Zeph's sensors didn't detect the massive weapons arrays hidden inside those mining platforms. They didn't notice the battle fleet concealed in Jupiter's stormy atmosphere. They completely missed the kinetic launch systems built into Saturn's rings. The Dominion scouts saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see. A weak, frightened species with outdated technology and no real military strength. As the days counted, down to the Dominion fleet's arrival, final preparations continued throughout Sol system. Weapon systems that had been disguised for decades powered up for the first time. Ships that had been built in secret moved to their attack positions. Soldiers who had trained for this moment their entire lives checked their equipment one last time. Admiral Keth Zara studied the scout reports in the flagship's war room. Everything confirmed the original intelligence. Humanity would be crushed quickly and efficiently, just like hundreds of species before them. The humans have sent no further diplomatic messages, Commander Vex reported. No attempts to negotiate, no signs of panic. Either they're very brave or very stupid. Or very confident, said the energy-based science officer. That still bothers me. Why would they be confident? Keth Zara dismissed the concern with a gesture. Some species prefer to die with dignity rather than surrender. It changes nothing. But deep down, the Crystal Admiral couldn't shake the memory of Ambassador Sarah Chen's smile. There had been something in that expression that didn't match a doomed species facing extinction. In the Sol system, the trap was almost ready. Humanity had spent 80 years preparing for this moment. Soon, the Galactic Dominion would learn that sometimes the most dangerous enemies are the ones who look completely helpless. The countdown continued. 14 days until the Dominion fleet arrived at Earth. 14 days until the galaxy the Dominion fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system, with the precision of a military machine that had conquered hundreds of worlds. 200 warships arranged themselves in perfect attack formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of Earth's sun. At the center of the formation, Admiral Keth Zara's flagship Eternal Dominance powered up its communications array. This is Admiral Keth Zara of the Galactic Dominion. The crystal being's voice boomed across all frequencies. Humans of the Sol system, your time has expired. You will surrender immediately or face complete destruction. On Earth, President Chen stood in her command bunker, listening to the transmission along with her military advisors. General Harrison looked at the tactical display showing the Dominion fleet's positions. They're following standard doctrine exactly, he said. Arranged in 3 attack groups, ready to overwhelm our defenses with superior numbers. Just like we predicted, President Chen replied. She activated her own communications array. Admiral Keth Zara, this is President Chen of Earth. We have considered your offer carefully, and Keth Zara's voice crackled with impatience. We respectfully decline. The silence that followed lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then Admiral Keth Zara's response came like a thunderclap. Then you have chosen death. All human forces will be destroyed. Your planet will be occupied. Your species will serve the Dominion as slaves. The first wave of Dominion ships began moving toward the inner system. Their sensors showed them exactly what they expected to see. 3 small human patrol fleets clearly outmatched and already pulling back toward Earth in apparent panic. Human ships are retreating, reported Commander Vex from the flagship's tactical station. Shall we pursue? No, Keth Zara decided. Let them run back to their planet. We will destroy them all together when we reach Earth. What the Dominion sensors didn't show was that the retreating human ships were actually moving into carefully planned positions. Each patrol fleet withdrew along a specific route, drawing the enemy deeper into the solar system. Admiral Martinez watched the Dominion advance from her command center beneath Mars. They're taking the bait perfectly, she reported to the fleet commanders scattered throughout the system. All stations, maintain stealth protocols. Wait for my signal. The Dominion fleet moved through the asteroid belt without incident, sweeping aside the few small human vessels that tried to intercept them. Their confidence grew with each easy victory. These humans fought bravely, but hopelessly, just like so many species before them. Mars orbital approach in 2 hours, Commander Vex reported. Still no sign of their supposed main fleet. Admiral Keth Zara studied the tactical display. The 3 human patrol fleets had been reduced to scattered survivors fleeing toward Earth. Mars orbit showed only mining platforms and a few small defensive stations. Everything matched their intelligence reports perfectly. The humans are about to learn what happens when a primitive species defies the Dominion, Keth Zara announced to the bridge crew. But as the Dominion fleet reached Mars orbit, something unexpected happened. The mining platforms suddenly stopped looking like mining platforms. Massive weapon arrays unfolded from structures that had appeared to be ore processing facilities. Armor plating slid aside to reveal particle cannon batteries. What the Dominion had taken for industrial equipment revealed itself as some of the most powerful defensive weapons they had ever encountered. Admiral, Commander Vex shouted in alarm. The mining platforms are weapons platforms, massive energy signatures across Mars orbit. Before Keth Zara could respond, The first salvo of human weapons fire lit up space around the Dominion fleet. Bright blue beams of particle energy struck Dominion shields with incredible force. The lead ships in the formation staggered under impacts far more powerful than anything they had expected from human technology. "Return fire," Keth Zara commanded. "Destroy those platforms." But even as Dominion weapons began pounding the Mars defense grid, more surprises revealed themselves. The asteroid field that the fleet had just passed through suddenly came alive with weapon signatures. Hundreds of objects that had looked like ordinary space rocks opened up with missile batteries and energy weapons. "We're surrounded," reported the sensor officer, a multi-armed Hexari whose voice rose to a panicked whistle. "The entire asteroid field is armed." Admiral Martinez's voice cut through Dominion communications with calm authority. "Welcome to Soli. System Admiral Keth Zara, you are now completely surrounded." The Crystal Admiral's body rang like an angry bell. "Impossible. Our intelligence showed no major defenses." "Your intelligence showed you exactly what we wanted it to show," Martinez replied. "Every asteroid, every platform, every piece of space, debris you've seen was carefully placed and disguised. You're not fighting a primitive species, Admiral. You're fighting a civilization that's had 80 years to prepare for your arrival." The battle for Mars orbit erupted into full intensity. Dominion ships found themselves caught in crossfire from all directions. The mining platforms revealed themselves to be Fortress-class defense stations with shields and weapons that matched anything in the Dominion fleet. The asteroid field turned into a three-dimensional minefield of hidden weapon emplacements, but the surprises weren't over. The human patrol fleets that had been retreating in panic suddenly reversed course. As they closed in on the Dominion formation, each ship began releasing swarms of smaller craft. What had appeared to be 3 small fleets revealed themselves as carrier groups, each one launching dozens of attack fighters. "The human ships are deploying fighters," Commander Vex reported. "Hundreds of them." Admiral Keth Zara watched in growing alarm as the tactical situation deteriorated. The Dominion fleet was taking heavy casualties from the concealed defenses, and now they faced clouds of human fighters that moved with impossible coordination. "How are they coordinating so perfectly?" demanded the fleet's communication officer. "Their reaction time is faster than any known technology." The answer came from humanity's greatest secret. Quantum entanglement communication networks allowed every human ship, platform, and fighter to share information instantly across the entire solar system. The Dominion fleet was fighting not just individual human forces, but a perfectly coordinated defensive network that responded to their every on-door move in real time. "Admiral," Commander Vex called out urgently. "We've lost 37 ships. Our shield generators are overloading. The humans have technology we've never seen before." Keth Zara's crystal form flickered with anger and confusion. "This is impossible. No species developed such advanced defenses in less than a century of spaceflight." Admiral Martinez's voice came through the speakers again. "We had a very good teacher, Admiral. Your own technology, recovered from a probe that crashed on Europa 80 years ago. We've spent 8 decades studying Dominion science and improving on it." The revelation hit Keth Zara like a physical blow. The lost probe. The mission that had been written off as a simple navigation error. The humans had been learning Dominion technology and preparing for this day since before most of their current generation was born. "All ships, fall back to long-range bombardment positions," Keth Zara commanded. "We'll destroy their defenses from a safe distance." But as the Dominion fleet tried to withdraw from Mars orbit, they discovered that the humans had one more surprise waiting for them. Jupiter's great red spot, the massive storm that had raged on the gas giant for centuries, suddenly disgorged an entire battle fleet. Ships emerged from the planet's upper atmosphere, where they had been hidden by radiation and magnetic interference. These weren't the small patrol vessels the Dominion had been fighting. These were full-sized battleships and cruisers, fresh and undamaged. "Jupiter fleet now deploying," Admiral Martinez announced calmly. "All ships, you are authorized to engage." The human reinforcements struck the Dominion fleet's flank just as they were trying to reorganize, caught between the Mars defenses and the Jupiter fleet. Keth Zara's forces found themselves trapped in a vice of human firepower. This was planned, Commander Vex said in amazement. All of it. The weak defenses, the retreating patrols, even our approach route. They've been manipulating us from the beginning. Admiral Keth Zara finally understood the scope of the trap they had fallen into. The humans hadn't been desperate when they refused the Dominion's offer. They had been confident because they knew exactly what was coming and exactly how to defeat. Tiwisi signaled the 12th and 33rd Fleets, Keth Zara ordered. Emergency reinforcement needed immediately. Sir, the communication officer reported, the nearest reinforcement fleets are 6 days away at maximum speed. Then we hold position until they arrive, Keth Zara decided. No primitive species is going to defeat a Dominion fleet, but even as reinforcements were summoned, the human attacks continued with relentless precision. Every Dominion move was anticipated. Every tactic was countered before it could be fully deployed. The human defense network fought like a single, vast organism with perfect knowledge of the battlefield. As the first day of battle ended, the Dominion fleet had lost nearly a third of its ships while the humans had suffered only minor casualties. Admiral Keth Zara stood in the damaged comm. Admiral Keith Zara stood on the damaged bridge of the Eternal Dominance, watching the tactical display with growing desperation. 4 days had passed since the battle for Sol system began, and the Dominion fleet was being systematically destroyed by human forces that seemed to anticipate every move before it was made. Status report, Keth Zara commanded, though the crystal being already knew the news would be bad. Commander Vex looked up from his station, his reptilian features showing exhaustion and worry. We've lost 112 ships, Admiral, more than half our original force. The humans are using weapons and tactics we've never encountered before. And their casualties? Minimal, Vex admitted reluctantly. Perhaps 20 ships destroyed, maybe 50 damaged. Their defensive network is too coordinated. They're fighting like a single organism. Keth Zara's crystal body rang with frustration. In 3,000 years of Dominion expansion, no primitive species had ever inflicted such losses on a subjugation fleet. The humans weren't just defending themselves, they were winning. Time until reinforcements arrive? The Admiral asked. 36 hours, reported the communication officer. The 12th and 33rd fleets are approaching at maximum speed. A new voice cut through the bridge communications. It was Admiral Martinez broadcasting from her command center beneath Mars. Admiral Keth Zara, this is your last chance to surrender. Withdraw your forces now and we'll allow you to leave Sol system with your remaining ships. The entire Dominion bridge fell silent. In the history of the galaxy, no one had ever offered surrender terms to a Dominion fleet. Keth Zara activated the communication array. Human, you forget yourself. The Dominion does not surrender to primitives. When our reinforcements arrive, your entire species will pay for this insult. Reinforcements? Martinez's voice carried a note of amusement. You mean the 12th and 33rd fleets approaching from the galactic north and south? Yes, we've been tracking them for days. Commander Vex looked at his sensor displays in alarm. Admiral, how do they know our reinforcement vectors? That information is classified at the highest levels. The same way we know everything else about Dominion military doctrine, Martinez replied, apparently listening to their internal communications. We've been studying you for 80 years, Admiral. We know your fleet movements, your tactics, your communication codes. We know everything. Admiral Keth Zara felt something the Crystal Warrior had never experienced before. Genuine fear. The humans had been watching and learning for decades, preparing for this moment with incredible patience and planning. All ships, Keth Zara commanded, hold position. We wait for reinforcements. But even as the Crystal Admiral tried to maintain control, the human attacks continued. Saturn's rings, which Dominion sensors had identified as ordinary ice and rock, revealed their true nature. Massive kinetic projectiles launched from hidden platforms within the ring system, striking Dominion ships with the force of asteroid impacts. The entire ring system is weaponized, shouted the sensor officer. Every major ring segment has kinetic launch platforms. Each projectile was essentially a guided asteroid, accelerated to incredible speeds by magnetic launchers hidden throughout. Saturn's rings. When they struck Dominion shields, the impact was devastating. Even the largest Dominion battleships staggered under the kinetic bombardment. But the most disturbing aspect of the human attacks wasn't their power. It was their precision. Every shot seemed to know exactly where Dominion ships would be, seconds before they arrived there. Every tactic was countered before it could be fully deployed. "How are they doing this?" Commander Vex demanded. "It's like they can predict our movements." The answer came from Captain Torres, Admiral Martinez's aide, broadcasting on an open channel. "Quantum entanglement communication networks," she explained, casually. "Every human ship, platform, and weapon system shares information instantly. We're not fighting individual battles. We're fighting one coordinated battle across the entire solar system." Admiral Keth Zara processed this information with growing alarm. Quantum communication was theoretical even in Dominion science. No species had ever successfully deployed it on this scale. "Impossible," Keth Zara said. "Quantum entanglement cannot be maintained across such distances." "Tell that to our engineers," Martinez replied. "They had 80 years to work out the details. Your probe gave us the theoretical foundation. Human ingenuity did the rest." The battle continued through the night, with Dominion losses mounting steadily. Human fighters swarmed through the enemy formation like angry insects, their perfect coordination allowing them to attack from multiple angles simultaneously. Every time the Dominion tried to reorganize, the humans struck at exactly the right moment to disrupt their plans. As dawn approached over Earth, Admiral Keth Zara received word that the reinforcement fleets were entering Sol's system. "The 12th and 33rd fleets are dropping out of faster-than-light travel," reported the communication officer. "Admiral Thesvar is requesting instructions." Keth Zara opened a channel to the reinforcement fleets. "Admiral Thesvar, deploy your forces immediately. The humans have more advanced technology than we anticipated, but they cannot fight 600 ships." "Understood," came the reply from a voice like grinding stone. Thesvar was another Vorthak, known throughout the Dominion for aggressive tactics. "We will crush these primitives quickly." But as the reinforcement fleets moved into the system, they discovered that the humans had been preparing for their arrival as well. The outer planets, Uranus and Neptune, revealed their own hidden defenses. What had appeared to be research stations and mining operations transformed into weapon platforms and fighter bases. The reinforcement fleets found themselves under attack from directions they hadn't even known were defended. "All human forces," Admiral Martinez broadcast across the system. "You are authorized to engage reinforcement fleets. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The battle expanded across the entire solar system as 600 Dominion ships found themselves fighting a perfectly coordinated human defense network. Every planet, every moon, every asteroid seemed to hide weapons or fighters. The humans had turned their entire solar system into one massive fortress. Admiral Thesvar's voice crackled with rage as his ships took heavy casualties from the outer system defenses. "What kind of species weaponizes their entire star system?" "The kind that's had 80 years to prepare for this day," Martinez replied calmly. But even facing overwhelming odds, the Dominion commanders pressed their attack. 600 ships were still a massive force, and human casualties were finally beginning to mount. Several Mars defense platforms had been destroyed, and the Jupiter fleet was taking damage from concentrated Dominion fire. Admiral Keth Zara began to hope that sheer numbers might still carry the day. "All ships, concentrate fire on the Jupiter fleet. If we can break their main battle force, the rest will collapse." The combined Dominion fleets launched a massive assault on the human ships, emerging from Jupiter's atmosphere. For a moment, it seemed like the tide of battle might turn. Human ships began falling back, their perfect coordination finally showing signs of strain under the enormous pressure. President Chen watched the battle from her command bunker, her face tight with worry. "Admiral Martinez, can our forces hold?" Martinez studied her tactical displays, watching as human ships fought desperately against overwhelming odds. "We're at the breaking point," she admitted. "They have too many ships. Even our advantages can't overcome those numbers forever." General Harrison leaned forward. "Should we signal the colonial fleets?" "Not yet," Martinez replied. We need the Dominion to commit everything. If they suspect we have more forces, they'll hold back reserves. But even as the human defenses strained under the assault, Admiral Martinez activated a special communication channel. Ambassador Chen, are you ready for your final diplomatic message? Sarah Chen's voice came through from her ship, which was safely hidden behind Earth's moon. Ready, Admiral. A few minutes later, Chen's voice broadcast across all Dominion frequencies. Admiral Keth Zara, this is Ambassador Chen. I have one final message from Earth's government. The Crystal Admiral was too busy coordinating the assault to respond immediately, but Chen continued anyway. You're fighting bravely against Earth's home defense force, she said, with the same calm confidence she had shown at their first meeting. But I should mention something. Our main fleet has just arrived. Every Dominion ship in the system received the transmission. For a moment, the intensity of battle actually decreased as alien crews processed what they had just heard. Main fleet? Admiral Thesvar demanded. This isn't their main fleet? Commander Vex looked at his tactical displays in growing horror. Admiral, if these are just their home defenses, what's coming? Admiral Keth Zara's crystal form flickered with desperate anger. Impossible. No species could hide a fleet large, enough to matter against 600 ships. But even as the Crystal Admiral spoke, new contacts began appearing on Dominion sensors. Not from one direction, but from dozens of different vectors around the solar system. Ships were dropping out, a faster-than-light travel at multiple points, surrounding the Dominion fleets completely. Multiple contacts, shouted the sensor officer. Massive energy signatures appearing throughout the system. Admiral Martinez's voice cut through the confusion with deadly calm. All Colonial FL, the space around Sol system, erupted with the light of arriving ships as humanity's true strength finally revealed itself. At 47 different points throughout the solar system, colonial fleets dropped out of faster-than-light travel with perfect timing. Each fleet was massive, containing ships of designs the Dominion had never seen before. Admiral Keth Zara stood frozen on the bridge of the Eternal Dominance, watching the tactical display with growing horror as contact after contact appeared on the sensors. How many ships? The crystal being whispered. Still counting, Admiral, reported the sensor officer, his voice shaking. At least 3,000 vessels, and the number is still climbing. Commander Vex stared at his own displays in disbelief. 3,000? That's impossible. Our intelligence showed they had less than 60 ships total. A new voice cut through. The Dominion communication channels. It was strong, confident, and carried the authority of absolute command. Dominion fleets, this is Admiral Elena Vasquez of the Colonial Combined Fleet. You are completely surrounded and outgunned. Surrender immediately or face total destruction. Admiral Keth Zara activated the communication array with desperate fury. This is impossible. No species has ever hidden a fleet this large. Where did these ships come from? Admiral Martinez's voice answered from Mars Command. Did you really think Earth was humanity's only world? We've been expanding for 80 years, Admiral. 23 hidden colonies, each one building ships and preparing for this day. The tactical display showed the true scope of the trap. The Dominion's 600 ships were caught in the center of a sphere formed by more than 3,000 human vessels. Every colony had sent its fleet. New Geneva with its advanced battleships, Kepler Prime with its carrier groups, Havens, Rest with its specialized assault ships, and dozens of others. Admiral Keth Zara, Admiral Vasquez continued. Let me make this clear. What you've been fighting for the past 5 days was Earth's home guard, our planetary defense force. You haven't even seen our real military yet. Admiral Thesvar's voice crackled through the communication network from his own flagship. Keth Zara, we need to withdraw immediately. We cannot fight this many ships. But even as the Dominion commanders tried to coordinate their response, the human fleets began their final attack. Ships from 23 different colonies moved with the same impossible coordination that had marked Earth's defenses. Quantum communication networks linked every human vessel across light years of space, creating a unified command structure unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Colonial Fleet flagship, New Horizon, moved into position at the center of the human formation. Admiral Vasquez stood on its bridge, a woman in her 60s who had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. Around her, officers from a dozen different human worlds worked together with seamless efficiency. All fleets begin synchronized attack pattern Omega, Vasquez commanded. Target their command ships first, let's end this quickly. The attack came from every direction simultaneously. Kepler Prime's carriers launched clouds of fighters, while New Geneva's battleships opened up with particle cannons that outranged anything in the Dominion fleet. Haven's Rest deployed weapons that seemed to ignore Dominion shields entirely, striking directly at ship hulls with devastating effect. Admiral Keth Zara watched in helpless rage as the Dominion formation collapsed under the coordinated assault. Ships that had served the Empire for centuries were destroyed in minutes by human weapons that shouldn't have existed. All ships, emergency jump to faster-than-light travel, Keth Zara commanded. We must escape and warn the Council. But even retreat was impossible. The human fleets had positioned themselves to block every escape route. Gravity wells generated by human technology prevented faster-than-light jumps, trapping the Dominion forces in normal space, where they could be systematically destroyed. Commander, Vex looked at his tactical display with despair. Admiral, we're trapped. They've thought of everything. The battle lasted less than 2 hours. When it was over, more than half the Dominion fleet had been destroyed, and the rest were severely damaged. Not a single human ship had been lost in the final engagement. Admiral Vasquez opened a communication channel to all remaining Dominion vessels. Admiral Keth Zara, this is your final opportunity to surrender. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. In the command center of the Eternal Dominance, Admiral Keth Zara stood among the wreckage of 3,000 years of Dominion military supremacy. The crystal being's form had lost its inner light, dimmed by the magnitude of defeat. Sir? Commander Vex asked quietly. Your orders? Keth Zara looked at the tactical display one more time. 600 ships had become less than 200, all of them damaged and surrounded by an overwhelming human force. For the first time in Dominion history, an admiral faced the choice between surrender and complete annihilation. Power down all weapons, Keth Zara said finally. Signal surrender to the human fleet. The words echoed through every Dominion ship in the system. For species that had never known defeat, surrender was almost incomprehensible, but the alternative was extinction. Admiral Martinez's voice came through the speakers from Mars Command. Wise choice, Admiral. Human boarding parties are on their way to secure your ships. As human Marines began taking control of Dominion vessels, President Chen opened a secure communication channel to the Colonial Fleet Command. Admiral Vasquez, what's our final tally? Complete victory, Madam President, Vasquez replied. Enemy fleet neutralized with minimal human casualties. Sol system is secure. But the victory was about more than just one battle. News of the Dominion defeat spread quickly through faster-than-light communication networks. Throughout the galaxy, subject species that had served the Empire for millennia began to question whether their overlords were truly invincible. On the Council homeworld of Dominion Prime, the 7 ruling species gathered in emergency session. The Crystal Vorthak representative was noticeably absent, having been stripped of military command after the disaster at Sol. The reptilian Skarn counselor spoke first. The 47th Fleet has been destroyed. The 12th and 33rd Fleets have surrendered. We've lost over 400 ships to a species we classified as primitive. How is this possible? Demanded the insectoid Chitauri representative. Our intelligence networks are the most advanced in the galaxy. The energy-based Luxari flickered with agitation. The humans were feeding us false information for decades. Everything we thought we knew about them was carefully crafted deception. Ambassador Sarah Chen's image appeared on the chamber's main display, broadcasting from Earth. Honorable Council members, humanity wishes to open formal diplomatic relations with the Galactic Dominion. The room fell silent. After 3,000 years of ruling through conquest, the Dominion was being offered negotiations by the species that had just defeated their greatest military force. What are your terms? Asked the tree-like Verdani counselor. Simple, Chen replied. Humanity will return your surviving ships and personnel in exchange for formal recognition as an independent power. We want peaceful coexistence, not conquest. And if we refuse? The Skarn counselor hissed. Chen's expression didn't change, but her words carried unmistakable steel. Then you'll discover that our colonial fleets represent less than half of humanity's total military strength. Our deep space exploration? Fleets are still out there, mapping regions of the galaxy you've never seen. The implication was clear. Humanity hadn't just defeated a Dominion fleet, they had demonstrated military capabilities that exceeded the Empire's own. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted fundamentally. After hours of debate, the Council reached its decision. The Skarn counselor made the announcement that would echo through galactic history. The Galactic Dominion formally recognizes humanity as an equal sovereign power. We accept your terms for peace. In Sol System, Admiral Vasquez stood on the bridge of New Horizon watching Dominion prisoners being transferred to secure facilities. Admiral Martinez, what's our next move? Martinez's voice came from Mars Command. We continue as planned. The exploration fleets push deeper into uncharted space. The colonial fleets return to their home systems, and Earth's defenses remain on alert. Do you think they'll try again? Vasquez asked. Eventually someone will, Martinez replied. But now they know the truth. When humanity says our main fleet, they'd better take it seriously. President Chen addressed the human population from her bunker in Geneva. Citizens of Earth and all human colonies, the crisis has passed. The Galactic Dominion has accepted our terms for peace. Humanity has taken its place among the great powers of the galaxy. The celebration that followed could be seen from space as cities across Earth lit up with victory displays. But in the quiet command centers where humanity's military leaders planned for the future, the mood was more subdued. We won this round, Admiral Martinez told her staff. But the galaxy is a big place. There are other empires out there, other threats we haven't discovered yet. Captain Torres nodded. The exploration fleets are already reporting contact with species beyond Dominion space. Some are friend,